How have you been enjoying your retirement?
Retirement's okay, it's been a bit boring at times. Obviously, as like anything, 26 years in one sport. When you retire at a young age, 36, then you have to find your next path in life. And I suppose it was a bit difficult at the start because, of course, miss the adrenaline, the buzz, and of that boxing. So it's taken a while to get out of my system, but I suppose just over 2 years after retiring, it's well and truly out of my system. I'm doing other things in life, my two kids, 17 and 14. Takes up a lot of my time, being a dad, and also I'm doing acting now, so got 2 movie roles. Hopefully you can start filming the end of the year. So yeah, I'm really happy. That's the next stage of my life now.
What do you miss most about boxing?
I suppose it's the focus of getting up in the morning training. That mindset. Obviously adrenaline. No buzz or adrenaline rush will ever compare to getting in the ring in front of 50,000 at Millennium or fighting in Madison Square Garden or in Vegas. It's just the best thing in the world.
What do you miss least about boxing?
What I miss least is losing the weight for a fight. I had to lose about 32 pounds every single fight at super middleweight at the end of my career, and that was very hard, especially the last week of training, having to starve yourself, dehydrate yourself. I 100%, I don't miss that at all. That's one thing I don't miss.
I'm just speaking from my own personal experience. I boxed a little bit as an amateur. Used to find myself getting very ratty and very irritable, trying to make weight. Was it the same for yourself?
Yep, definitely. That's my dad. We used to just have arguments at the week of the fight. I used to basically pick a fight, pick an argument with everything. So yeah, definitely being ratty a few days of the fight, before the fight. So nobody really could speak to me. I'd have to be left alone until I jumped off the scale. As soon as I made the weight, jumped off the scales, and I can have something to eat and drink, I was fine.
I know your dad fairly well, his public persona. He's a very fiery personality. When you were training, did you have a clash about tactics, about some days you weren't in the mood to train, some days your dad wasn't in the mood to train? Did you ever have two bulls going head to head?
Yeah, occasionally. Obviously you say I'm pretty fiery, a bit more chilled up with my dad. My dad's very fiery, so yeah, especially leading up to a fight, I suppose you have some little bickering, having some little hard arguments, but it was only because of the stress of the fight. Obviously that's the pressure as well. Being the son in boxing for a big fight, and with me, obviously, it'd be the pressure of fighting, also just losing weight, starving yourself, and so on. Of course, it happens, but with us, we just like 2 minutes late, we're fine. There's never no grudges. We get our steam off, then we're completely fine and get on with training. So we had a great sort of balance there.
You're arguably the greatest ever boxer from Great Britain. What would you say is the highlight of your career, from yourself personally?
It's difficult when people ask me the highlight of my career because there's so many great nights, But if I sort of put it down, I think my career-defining fight has to be the Jeff Lacey fight. I think because going into that fight, to come off a bad run, injuries, Lacey come over undefeated champion. I was the bookie's underdog, and to put on my best ever performance was a brilliant. My career sort of took off to another level after that. But also, I have to say, the Mikkel Kesslers, at Millennium Stadium, unified the titles against an excellent fighter, Mikkel Kessler. And, 2 fights at States, Hopkins in Vegas. And he's still champion there at 46, shows what a good win that was. And Roy Jones Jr., 8 times world champion in Madison Square Garden, man. So I saved the best till last. Yeah.
How satisfying was it for you personally to silence your critics when you beat Jeff Lacey?
Oh, that's what I mean. It was just tremendous. Because that put me to a new level because I had so many doubters going into that fight. A lot of people thought I was going to get beat. And that's what I needed. I need that sort of extra motivation to prove to everybody that I was the legitimate super middleweight champion in the world. And I wanted to go down as a great fighter. And I believe that, that fight sort of kick-started me to a new level at the end of my career.
You've held all the official organisation belts, WBO, WBC, IBF. I don't think you held the WBA.
I did, yeah.
The WBA as well, sorry. The Ring Magazine belt. Out of all those belts, which one meant the most to you?
Well, it's difficult. Obviously, you look at the WBO belt, but that's the one I won first. So, although it's probably one of the lesser, recognised organisations, I'd have to say that WBO served me well because, I was a champion of that belt for 10 years, a decade, as a WBO champion, and I was proud of being a WBO champion. And it was hard because obviously I was waiting for the big fight, and it took me 8 years to get the Lacey unification fight, but You know, I have to say the WBO belt because, although the WBC, I'm so proud of being the Ring Magazine champion, WBC, but the WBO, the belt, I was champion for that belt for 10 years, so I have to say that, that was obviously a great belt.
I've read in a few different magazines, and I think your book as well, you said your fight with Chris Eubank was the hardest fight of your career. Would that be correct?
Yeah, Eubank's fight was the hardest fight in my career because it was my first 12-round fight. He wasn't the best fighter in my career, but he was the hardest fight I've ever had, yeah. Because it was my first 12-round fight, knocked everybody out in the first few rounds, and he was just such a tough guy, man, and dropped him in the first round, and I thought, this is easy. I tried to knock him out every single shot in the first 3 rounds, and after 4 or 5 rounds, I thought, how the hell am I going to get through this fight? I managed to put myself through it, and pull off a tough win, but I think that put me in good stead for the rest of my career,
Carl Froch is in the final of the Super 6, and he's calling you out once again. Is there any chance of that fight happening?
I'm retired. I don't know. Something's about fighters calling me out 2 years after retirement. I see her as a respect, really, because it shows there's still a gulf in boxing without me. I saw Bernard Hopkins last week. He's asking me for a rematch. Antonio Tarver was speaking to me on Twitter yesterday. Surely he's trying to get a fight after his fight in Australia. Carl Froch. Basically, I think about half a dozen fighters are still saying they want to fight Joe Calzaghe. So, what can I say, man? I'm retired. 2.5 years ago, I finished boxing, but I probably find it flattering that people still want to call me out because they know I'm a big fish. They know I'm a payday. Who else can fill out 50,000 stadiums? Nobody in that weight division.
I asked the same question to Nathan Cleverly about a month ago, and I'll ask it to you. Who would have won a fight between Nathan Cleverly and Joe Calzaghe at light heavyweight?
Of course, there's only one Joe Calzaghe. I love Nathan, and he's the best, man, but Nathan's second best. Enzo's second best. I'm sorry to say it, there's only one Joe Calzaghe.